This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show.
YouTube, what is up? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at you, and happy Pi Day. Happy belated Pi Day, actually. I wanted to put this video up yesterday. The build gods, they just weren't having it. They weren't having it. I had my pie shirt on, you know, the pumpkin and the pie symbol, pumpkin pie, get it? It's funny. Anyway, and then we were gonna put a build together in the pi squared RDA, kind of retro at this point, but it was March 14th and I wanted to put this build together. Nothing went right. Everything went wrong. It was awful, awful. It wasn't even like it was a complicated build or anything. It was a build that I've done, I don't know how many times I've put one of these together, you know? It was just one of those days, I think. One of those days. All it was a staggered fuse Clapton. That's it, a staggered fuse Clapton. As you know, it is staggered month over on Coil Wars, and I wanted to show you guys yet another technique. Basically, that was all this video was about. It was about technique. I was gonna bust it out. It was going to be done. I was actually going to do it in one cut, which is finally what happened today. I was finally able to put this together in basically one cut for you guys because it's just such a simple method. I didn't quite do it one cut, but I didn't have to turn off the camera or rearrange anything or do anything like that. But I wanted to give you guys a good look at this technique. So I did end up moving the camera around a little bit just to give you an idea of what's going on. But this is the coolest technique that I've ever come across, ever. And I'm so sorry I haven't tried it till now. This trick was shown to me actually about 10 months ago by this guy Khalid S on YouTube. And he showed me this trick where he took a spool tamer, a beat-along fucking spool tamer, and turned it into an automated Clapton method. Okay, so you start out like any other build. You take your 26 gauge wire in this case, you straighten it out, you anchor one end on into the chuck of the drill, you anchor the other end on into the swivel tools, okay? Then, instead of starting out the Clapton, just starting it out, you go ahead, and I'm using 34 gauge, you seat this spool tamer onto your spool, just like so. Passing the wire on through the spool tamer, just like this, and there you go. You've got your spool is tamed. I mean, it's aptly named, it really is, because these things are great. I think I want to get a bunch of these just to better control my wire, because this thing is fantastic for controlling wire. You know, a 32 gauge spool got away from me today and kind of started to unravel. I was like, fuck, why didn't I have the spool tamer on that one, you know? That shit pissed me off. Ugh. Instead I'm doing this, trying to fix this damn spool. Spool tamer fixes that problem for one thing. It also creates the ultimate automated Clapton method. Ultimate automated Clapton method. This thing kicks the shit out of the Daedalus. Remember the Daedalus, that little tool that came with the thing and you mounted everything on it? It kicks the shit out of that thing. Fuck the Daedalus. This little tool, stretchy thing that can be had for pennies over at Amazon or over at Hobby Lobby or whatever, kicks the shit out of the $80 Daedalus automated Clapton making tool. This is fucking awesome. You need something, two things actually, that can hold the spool tamer up just a little bit, because when it's like this, it's locked, right? It's kind of all locked there. And you can loosen it up to let the wire out, but what works best is to use these guys. These guys are the bits from the CoilMaster tool, and they work really well for this. You put one on either side of the wire, just like this, just like that, one on either side of the wire, and it holds it up. And then you anchor the bit of wire into the chuck of the drill, just slipping it on in there alongside the wire that's, you know, in the middle of the chuck, or, you know, twisting it around the bit of wire that's sticking out the tooth of the chuck, one or the other. And then just let it rip. Let it rip full speed, 5,000 RPMs if you're using a drill like this. Just let it go. It'll go from one end to the other and make a perfect Clapton coil. Like that. Like that. It's that good. Plus, you can use it as a semi-automated staggering tool. Now, before you anchor this wire on into the chuck of the drill, remember to take a bit of wire off and set it aside. Just about 2 times around the spool so you can have a good grip on it. Now you can do it with your hand, you can do it with pliers, you can do it with a button as well. You can even do it and automate it completely with the button method. I haven't perfected that yet. I haven't been able to completely automate it using the button, but I've been able to set up the button with it and then just kind of use my finger to guide it along a little bit faster, and it works perfectly with the button. So it's kind of semi-automatic to make the staggered Clapton. I was able to get from one strand to the other, 5,000 RPMs, not holding the spool in my hand, just holding the spacer wire in place with my hand. That's it. That's all it takes. And you can go from one end to the other of the core wire like that. It's that easy. Kind of amazing, honestly. Kind of amazing. When all is said and done, and this is where I kept having a problem yesterday because it's been a while since I threw one of these together. It's been a little while. I know that I kind of used a staggering technique last week when we threw together the snake spine coil, but this one's a little bit different because I'm not decoring the wire. You know, I'm leaving the wire on the original core, the 26 gauge core, rather than taking it off and putting it onto, you know, a smaller, thinner strand of wire. And I remember saying this in my previous, you know, staggered fuse Clapton tutorial. You know, it makes it a lot easier if you loosen up the wire on the core like you're going to decore it, but don't. Well, I forgot that, and I was trying to fuse everything together without loosening up the wire first, and I kept just fucking up. It wouldn't fuse right. I went through, I don't know how many strands of, you know, shit fused, staggered fuse Clapton wire fucking up before I remembered, oh yeah, you fucking moron, you need to loosen the wire first. You said that. You figured that out. So, all that wire later, I remembered, and then it was like, done. The next time I tried it, I got it, because I remembered to loosen up the wire first. That's all it was. So, I've said it before, I'll say it again, loosen up the staggered wire around the core wires before you go to fuse it all together. It works like a charm. It makes it so much easier because the wires have flexibility and they can kind of move a little bit to accommodate each other. Works like a champ. Once the wire's all loosened up, then you can go ahead, rope the wires on through the swivel tools, bring the drill up close to the swivel tools, and just let it rip. Make yourself that staggered fuse Clapton, fusing those two staggered frames together. That's all there is to it. The thing about fusing the wire together, the only real secret is A, you know, like I said, loosen up those core wires, but B is keep it at about a 90-degree angle when you're fusing along. It is so easy once you get that angle right, and once you remember to loosen up those wires. I am basically fusing this together for you guys at 5,000 RPMs and pausing to actually move the camera along with me so you guys can get a good close-up look at what is happening. That is how easy it is once you remember to, you know, loosen up those core wires. And you have a good, easy technique for staggering the wire. There's so many great techniques for staggering the wires on, you know, a staggered fuse Clapton coil or a staggerton or, you know, a staggered staple fuse Clapton or whatever. There's so many great techniques for, you know, creating those staggered cores and doing them efficiently. And this one is so ridiculously easy that honestly, I almost don't want to show it to you. I've had second thoughts about demonstrating this technique because I know how easy it is, and I know what a time saver it is, and I know what a crutch that it can be because it's so ridiculously easy. It takes all the grunt work out of Claptons and staggered Claptons. It makes it so anyone can make them. And I've really thought hard about whether or not to share this trick with you because it takes the challenge out of it. It really does. It really takes the challenge out of it. But the way I look at it is that it's a technique it's a learning tool for one thing. Or it's a tool for people that don't care about getting good at building, they just want to make a damn Clapton coil and be done with it. And it's also a time saver. It's working smart and not hard, creating those staggered cores. Honestly, anything that you can do to speed that process up so you can get to fusing the wire together is okay in my book, honestly, because that's where the fun part comes in when you get into those hardcore builds, when you get into making those staggertons and those staggered staple fused Claptons and all that. It's getting your cores positioned and getting your wire fusing together properly. That's where the real challenge comes in. This is just, you know, staggering the cores. That's just busy work. Anyway, this was supposed to be for Pi Day, so I threw it in the Pi Squared RDA and it vapes beautifully. Five wraps each, 3.5 millimeter diameter. I'm vaping it at 101 watts just to be cute. And it ohms out at about 0.18 ohms. Just delicious. Vaping on this blackberry marmalade from Elevate. More of the juice that they sent over. I guess the other one in the marmalade line. There's three, and they only sent me two. They sent me the apricot and the blackberry. The apricot is amazing. The blackberry is amazing. They're both really good juices. But anyway, I've got it all mounted up on the Vapor Flask 167. It's cloudy, it's flavorful. You know, it's nothing fancy. It's just a staggered fused Clapton. But with all the shit that was going on with my building yesterday, just cussing myself over and over again, and then having that moment today when I remembered, loosen up the damn core wires, you dumbass. That, I'm just glad I managed to do that, honestly, because it was a day. I think it's kind of amazing how If you miss one step in a build, or you forget to do one little trick that makes the whole process that much easier, you just can't do it. The simplest build that you've put together, I don't know how many times, you forget to do one little thing and it all just falls apart. And then you have that moment that's like, oh yeah, that's what I forgot to do. That's what is gonna make this thing come together. I think that's a moment that a lot of builders out there can relate to. And I'm happy to share that moment with you today. Anyway, till next time, I'm your homeboy Josh. Vape on, vapors.